The next fundamental trademark is strategy. And you might ask yourself, why is strategy so important in an agile organization? And what I'd like to focus on here is a common purpose and vision and why it's so important for an agile organization. Because as you might remember from when we talked about team structures, we talked about how we want self-governing teams and how we want self-governing teams to set their own direction. But if we want teams to set their own direction, it is essential that we have a common purpose and vision shared across the company. Because if we don't have that, how do we then ensure that what the team set as their direction will actually contribute to the goals that the organization wants to reach? Another factor for why it's so important with common purpose and vision in organizations is because we want intrinsic motivation. We want employees to be motivated and work towards a goal that is bigger than themselves. We want them to share the organization's purpose and vision and really bring that in and let that be a motivating factor for them. We want to move away from micromanagement to autonomy, but we do not want anarchy. In order to do that, we want everyone in the organization to have ownership of the purpose and vision. Because that way, we have autonomy, but we will not get anarchy. The next one is distributed decision-making. In an agile organization, we want the people that work on the problem and that have the most knowledge of the problem to really make the decisions. We do not want top managers to make decisions, and that is because of the information that the ones who work on the problem have versus the top managers. Remember earlier on when we talked about decision making and how we make it, right? So we want it to be data-driven and we want it to be made by the people who actually know the problem the best. In addition to then being able to make the decisions based on the right facts and of the people that have the knowledge, we will also create ownership. Because if someone is enabled and is allowed to make those decisions, we will have ownership. They will have ownership of the decision and the challenges that we are facing. The next one is tight, loose, tight leadership. We haven't spoken that much about this, but this is actually a very important principle in agile organizations. This is because we want to move away from the traditional loose, tight, loose leadership into tight, loose, tight. So tight, loose, tight is all about the leaders of the organization to be very clear on the goals and the vision and purpose of what we are doing. But we want it to be up to the teams and the individuals to actually solve the task. Remember when we talked about self-governing teams? This is where they come in. But then we want the leadership to be very clear with what they want. That is the goal, the outcome and result. We want that to be clear. Because if we do that, it's so much easier for the people in the organization to make the right decisions every single day. The next one is transparency and involvement. We really want to encourage transparency and openness in the organization. Remember the loop with transparency and trust? So this is essential for us. And in order to create trust, we need to work on our transparency and vice versa. The last one is ownership and understanding. So we want everyone in the organization to have complete ownership of the purpose and the vision of the company. And we want them to truly understand it. And this is the key in agile organizations. Because if your employees do not understand or take ownership of your purpose and vision, then how will they be able to take the right decisions every single day to reach your goals? So, by enabling all of these things, we will also enable the organization to respond to change over following a plan. Winston Churchill said it very nicely. He said, "It's always wise to look ahead, but difficult to look further than you can see." So imagine you're headed out for a bike ride and you have a goal far ahead. This is probably how you would think of it. And this is also how you would think of it in traditional planning and project management. So you are out on your bike and you're gonna go to your goal. The road, it seems to be pretty flat and straight, no obstacles. But when you start biking, you start meeting different obstacles that you didn't plan for. So you scheduled this bike ride for maybe a week. It's gonna be a long bike ride. But when you meet reality and you meet all those obstacles, you realize it's gonna take me more than a week to, climb over rocks, meet an eagle, snow, you're even meeting a tiger and a shark and a fire and a hurricane or a tornado. So it's maybe gonna take you 4 weeks to reach your goal. So the plans you made before, they're not gonna be worth much because you are meeting completely different obstacles and problems than you planned for anyhow. So that is why we value in Agile responding to change over following a plan. That does not mean that you can't plan at all. But what we don't want to do is spend a lot of time on detailed planning, trying to foresee the future when we are not able to.